No.
Oh! Oh! Wow!
No, baby, no.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. Right. Right.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Rollcast. We've been away for a while because we have lost a couple of members to the greater good, otherwise known as Microsoft. Scott,
Scott?
congratulations, even if you have to spend less time on the website, sadly. So we're going to kick off the Rollcast again, essentially. Taking a new spin on it, trying to make it more regular and such. Probably be mainly me and you, James.
Season 2.
For the start. We'll probably
Yeah.
try and get some guests on in the future, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
How well we can keep up with the schedule and such,
Yeah.
The intention is that we do bi-weekly podcasts on the latest games and what we've been playing. So we'll kind of every 2 weeks review the latest news, what's about to come out, what's come out those 2 weeks, and what we're playing through the 2 weeks as well. So we'll start this off with episode 1 again. It's going to be a bit of a different one, this one, because we haven't done one every 2 weeks, obviously. So we're probably going to keep this one mainly to upcoming games, and then we'll do another one later on what we have been playing, instead of reviewing both in each episode. So this one will be mainly focused on upcoming games and changes to the site, what we're intending to do with the site. We've got a couple of surprises in store as well. So
Oh, yeah.
whoa, we always do.
Hey.
So first thing to go into, James, is as part of the TryRolling website, we're expanding into different areas. We've been mainly focused on news, reviews, that kind of thing, a bit slow on content, so we're going to be expanding it into some of the different things that we're doing. I've been doing a lot of Warhammer painting recently, for example. I paint up the models essentially and then sell them on through my eBay account. I'll be going into a bit of that on the website and what that entails. See if anyone is into that kind of thing, what kind of viewership we get for it. If anyone wants to see more of that, you can just let us know. Yeah, we can try and see what we're going to expand into in other areas as well. Things such as board games. You know, the TryRolling pun was originally meant for multiple things. It can refer to Dark Souls, obviously, or it can refer to the rolling of dice. We'll have to see what we can expand the site into. We've also put up an advert on the website for any new writers. So if you are a independent writer that wants to write for a small website, help build us up, help build up your own portfolio, then feel free to check out the article on there. If you want to try writing for us, you can send a writing sample to editors@tryrolling.com as well via email, and we will see about incorporating you into the team. So
Yeah, definitely. We are a small website, and it'd just be a good way to build up your own portfolio. I mean, it's only what me and Joe are doing at the minute. Just trying to improve as we go and get content out there. But like I say, it can be anything. Like you can be passionate about anything video game related. We want you basically.
video games, esports, anything dorky, really.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, as part of expanding the site into different areas, we probably will be looking at esports, especially locally in the UK where we are, because I find that that's a kind of underutilized niche. To be perfectly honest, it's not many. There aren't as many events in the UK, to be fair, not compared to fucking PAX West and PAX East, but I think it's something that should be expanded upon because I think we're a bit lacking here in the video game community in the UK. To be honest, it's all American.
It is. Well, either European or American, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should start trying to build up a bit of a UK community together as well.
Yeah, especially like up north as well, where we're based. It's if it is in the UK, it's down south, as you know, but it's quite scarce up here. But it'd be nice to, like you say, build up a bit of a community.
Community would be nice. I know America's larger, obviously, so it's much easier to do so in it.
Yeah.
With more people and such. And you could also build partly a European community as well. I don't know of many large ones there, but especially expos and things in the UK. Just don't know of many particularly big ones, apart from the odd couple, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think this past week EGX has been on. I went to
EGX being the obvious choice, yeah. You got Insomnia Expo as well, which I've recently heard about.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the EGX a couple of years ago, back in I think it was 2016, and it was a good day out. It was like the PlayStation Access team were there, doing like a live show. I think there was some like famous YouTubers there, and then obviously you've got some of the latest games coming out that you can test before they get released. So yeah, it's a pretty fun day out at EGX.
I definitely suggest going if you can. These kind of things are pretty awesome to go to if you're into any type of video game.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's pretty rare in the UK as well, so you are limited for choice. But I mean, that is one of the easiest options, I guess, to attend. I definitely want to go back anyway at some point. But yeah.
Well, that kind of leads into what we're hoping to build up in terms of the Patreon, doesn't it, James?
Yeah, it does.
If we intend to go to these larger expos and such, we need more funds to do so. Neither of us are particularly wealthy, but we would like to get into much more video games in terms of exclusives with new indies and new games coming out, that kind of thing. I think we're going to, as part of the expansion to the site, start focusing a lot more on indie games.
Yeah.
Small developers, ones that larger sites don't cover.
As much.
Yeah, well, they certainly need more love, to put it that way. There are a lot of little gems out there that don't quite get highlighted. So we'll as part of our building of a community, start trying to do that as well.
Yeah, I think the only real like indie game that's been shown any love recently is probably the Goose game that's come out.
Well, it's the odd amusing or funny game, really.
Well, yeah. It's got a goose in it, that's it.
there are some games that people put years of their lives into, like working on it as a 1 or 2 person team, and they never get highlighted, so it would be nice to start doing that for people, really, and building up a little indie community, hopefully. So yeah, if you're someone that likes those types of games and wants to write about them, but obviously you don't think they're going to get the viewership or anything, we'd enjoy if you came along to help us do that too.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's a place for everyone at the site, really. We try and cover as much as we can. We are spread thin, but it's just one of those things. Anybody's interests are welcome on the site, really.
We're less of a news site and much more of an opinion review guide type site, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, yeah.
So until we get ins and contacts with all of these developers and such, the news section just isn't going to be as populated.
No, true.
But yeah, I'll put a link to the Patreon in the description, depending on what site you're listening to this on. And we're going to be adding goals and rewards to that kind of as we go. We have a little draft up of what we can do so far. Some fairly small, some extremely large.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how it goes. It ranges from goals of, if we get £10 a month, we're just going to be able to pay for our server costs, to if we get maybe £1,000 a month or so, we'll be able to eventually go full time, which would be the dream.
That's quite lofty, but
it's, as we say, a stretch goal.
Yeah.
For it, depending on how we do. Hopefully, people enjoy the content and want to build the same kind of community that we're aiming for.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, 1,000 a month or so, we'd be able to, one of us go full time. We'd have to kind of split the workload, I suppose.
Yeah.
We need a lot more than that, sadly, to both go as a full-time team working in an office or something like that. But if you have any suggestions for the rewards or anything for the Patreon, feel free to pop over a comment or an email. We've got a list including things like Discord access, and we're going to do Patreon-only content, and things like we'll add you on Steam or PSN, so we can play some games with the community as well. But we'll just keep improving that as we go, I think.
Yeah, it's all in the pipeline, isn't it? It's all things to look forward to as it grows.
For sure.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
We are forever hopeful, sir.
Yeah.
We're optimistic, if nothing else.
Yes. Well, you've got to be, but yeah, no. Seriously, anybody's welcome to the site, really. Just pop over an email and we'll get you on.
There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential in these kind of things. We aim to start doing more YouTube videos along with our articles, and eventually, if we manage to hit enough on the Patreon per month, we'll be able to stream as well. Hopefully, the games that we're reviewing, especially indie games, we'll be able to.
We'd like to stream, and like at some point as well, we'd like to move the podcast onto the stream as well, so we could get a live audience. But
yeah, it's just internet that's stopping that at the moment.
Oh yeah, there's roadblocks, and we've just roll over them.
Hopefully, you'll be able to stream though. James is getting fibre, so.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully.
I'll be trying to stream as much as I can.
He'll be able to stream the surprise that he has for us later.
Yes, podcast exclusive.
Excited to see you play some of that, hopefully. So hopefully you get that set up fairly soon.
Yeah, moving into wanting to play things. Upcoming games, Joe. What have you got your eye on?
There's an endless list, as always, James. An endless list. Too many to play.
Yeah, there always is.
Too many to play. I mean, the ones I'm most looking forward to include Death Stranding, which will be coming out next month, just a couple of weeks.
Definitely, yeah.
Less than 2 weeks, in fact. Cyberpunk's another one I'm really looking forward to. Last of Us 2 as well.
Yes.
One that you put up on the list as well, Dreams. I think there's a lesser known one that we'll go into a little bit.
I'm not sure if it's an indie game at this point.
I don't think so. Media Molecule.
Yeah, it's got PlayStation's like official backing, so I'm not sure it's classes as an indie, but it's just seems to be taking forever to come out. That's all.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it, but there is an open beta going on. Not an open beta. Sorry, there's a beta going on where the public was invited, but they only had a certain amount of downloads, sadly, which we missed a while ago. So it'd be interesting if we can get in contact with one of those people and see how the game's developing, if they're coming out with updates or if it's just stagnated. So.
Yeah. It's one of those games that's completely different to everything else, which is why it stands out so much. It's a completely different concept, which is really interesting.
Is it a game or is it more of a creation suite?
That's a good point. It seems like they've taken inspiration from like Little Big Planet that they worked on, and they've just rolled with a even crazier idea where it's just like, let's just make worlds essentially.
Yeah, the most liked thing about Little Big Planet, I think, was the game creator. I remember some of the levels that we made.
Some of those instant classics, yeah.
But the one thing about that was it was very clumsy to use, very clunky. If you wanted to do certain things, it took fucking forever.
It did.
So hopefully they've improved on that in Dreams. I'm hoping it's not just a clunky version, which might be why it's taking so long.
I think they will have.
They might be trying to essentially de-clunk it. A couple of other ones looking forward to. What are you going for, James?
My list includes Elden Ring. We literally know nothing about that game though. That's the game I think it's Miyazaki from Dark Souls and George R.R. Martin are collaborating to create it. And it looks really cool. I think Vaati put a video out on it. It's all speculation, but it's a cool way to spend 20 minutes, I guess.
I'll put a link to anything that we have in the description below. So if Vaati's done a video, I'll put that in there so people can have a look.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. If you're into the whole Souls universe, definitely check it out. But yeah, no, it's looks cool anyway. And then, just agreeing with you, really. Death Stranding, Last of Us 2, Cyberpunk, and another game that I think is releasing this week, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds? I'd forgotten about that. It's actually released today, James. It's already out.
Well,
25th of October.
Finger is on the pulse.
I'm looking forward to getting that. I couldn't catch a review code for it, but I'll be able to buy that at some point. We'll be playing through and reviewing that one. It's essentially, as many of the critics have already said, a sci-fi Fallout.
Yeah,
it's just a Fallout in space.
New Vegas in space.
A New Vegas in space. Essentially, yeah. It is the same people that made New Vegas, so I can believe that to be true. People are essentially saying that it's fairly standard in terms of RPG, but that it's the humour that pulls it through, essentially.
Right.
Borderlands-esque, I think.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out.
In terms of humour, yeah. It's one of those pick-your-own-adventure type games where you'll be presented with kind of option A and option B. Do you kill this person or do you let them live? And then you see what the consequences are.
It just looks like the exciting alternative to the disaster that is Fallout 76,
Jesus.
which continues to be a disaster to this very
Forgotten
day.
that game existed. Don't talk to me.
Did you hear the news about that?
No, go on.
They've just released a Fallout 76. I think they're called like a first pass or something, where they're charging. I think it's $100 a year for a premium service.
What?
Yeah, so I think you pay like £100, and you get access to like private servers or something like that. But there's already been issues with it, so essentially they're charging a subscription service to a game you already have to pay, which is already dead, which is also incredibly buggy. So I don't know.
I don't know where they're going with that. If that's there must be some diehard fans that are willing to pay for it. Maybe they're just paying to keep the servers up, possibly.
That's just. It's a train wreck of a game. It's just hilarious watching it unfold, but.
Yeah. Well, it's safe to say Outer Worlds is much better than that, and it isn't multiplayer, so.
Well, that's it. That's all people ever wanted from a Fallout game. Just give us a bloody single-player story experience.
Well, people always shouted for co-op, but just give us a co-op Fallout, essentially, instead of...
Exactly, yeah. People wanted co-op in Fallout. They didn't want what Fallout 76 was.
Well, we could rant about Fallout for a few hours, so...
Yeah, let's just put that in the
Let's
bin.
move on from that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dark Souls type games, though, you mentioned Elden Ring. There's another one called. Well, I don't know if you remember a trailer from a couple of E3s back now, from a game that everyone liked the look of, and we haven't heard from since. Really, it's called Babylon's Fall. Do you remember it?
Babylon's Fall. No, you're gonna have to educate me.
All we have is a trailer. It's a kind of medieval sorcery type game, like the Dark Souls universe.
Yeah. Is it Dark Souls like, Joe?
It is Souls-like, I believe.
Souls-like.
I believe it's Souls-like.
Oh,
it did look good from the trailer, and we haven't heard anything since. But I am looking forward to more news about it, honestly. I want to see some news about Babylon's Fall at some point.
Yeah.
See if I can investigate, see what developers we can talk to about that in the future. Another one that's Souls-like, your favourite phrase, is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is coming out fairly soon as well.
I mean, the game, it's coming out fairly soon. The game looks good. I want to say I'm optimistic for it, but I'm so done with people calling stuff Souls-like, man. It's a Star Wars game. Come on.
It's just a certain type.
Souls-like. I know.
There's so many nowadays as well. It's kind of... I mean, I enjoy the genre. I enjoy the type of game that it inspires.
Yeah.
But it's not needed. So many types. There was a game called Code Vein that came out recently as well. It's on PS4 and PC.
Yeah.
And that's a very similar vein. It's essentially an anime Dark Souls, is what people are calling it.
Yeah, I heard about that. It's got pretty good reviews, I think.
It does look pretty good. I haven't had time to check it out, but from what I've seen, it does look pretty good if you're into that type of game. So if you're a fan of anime and you're a fan of Dark Souls, definitely check that one out. But it's just going to end up stagnated and saturated, and people are going to stop enjoying the games as much. It was a new genre for the past couple of years, ever since Demon Souls made its debut and was slowly discovered. The original Dark Souls obviously kicked it all off. Yeah. But I reckon it will end up saturated fairly soon, to be honest, and games that come out similar to it aren't going to be as popular.
Well, that's it. I mean, the only games really that I want to see with a Souls-like kind of gameplay structure is Elden Ring, obviously. And then if they ever decide to do a Bloodborne 2 or a Demon Souls 2, fingers crossed, sometime in the future. Even I'd take a remaster at this point, but yeah, it's
going to become, as I say, saturated and raw and boring.
I don't think to damage Dark Souls though, because I think that's the game that when I think of that kind of gameplay, that's the game that immediately comes to mind. It's like I want to keep Dark Souls sacred. God damn it!
I don't want the genre to be ruined and go the way of COD.
Speaking of COD,
Sorry, go on.
well, there is that, I guess. I mean, the new Modern Warfare's just released today.
We'll save that for your little surprise, I think.
Yeah, we will.
Let's go a bit more into these upcoming games, because I think we've passed them over a little briefly. We've got some news on some of them. Last of Us 2, for example, James. You know a bit more about that, apart from the gameplay trailers that I've seen, but it's recently been delayed, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's delayed. The original release date was February 21st. It's now going to come out 3 months later, on May 29th.
Christ.
So you've got an extra 3 months to wait before you can see Joel die.
That's my theory, I think, that James is pointing out. From the latest gameplay reveals.
By the way, that wasn't a spoiler.
No, that wasn't a spoiler. We don't know that. That's not confirmed. But from the looks of it, I reckon it starts with Joel dying, essentially. I reckon he finds you, and then during some of the cutscenes we've seen, someone's being tortured or killed off. And I reckon the rest of the game is going to be you trying to avenge him.
It would make sense.
It's either that or it's a lesbian girlfriend. One of the two.
One of the two.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that video down below so you can make that decision yourself as well.
Yeah, nice one. Like I say, I mean, apart from that, the game itself looks incredibly polished already at this stage from the gameplay trailers that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's looking really good on PlayStation 4. It looks quite brutal, a lot like the first one, really.
Yeah.
And quite intense.
I did enjoy the visceral combat.
Oh yeah. It's got a very intense, realistic feel to it, I think.
Let's hope it's not been delayed because they've not been able to maintain that throughout the game.
Well,
only for the trailers.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, if so, I think the delay is probably worth it because I prefer it to be well done and wait 3 more months than it to be a buggy mess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they confirmed as well that it won't have multiplayer like the first game. I think that's something that they're saving for another time.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad decision.
No,
felt kind of tacked on to me.
Yeah, if they need to focus on the single player aspect, then that's what most people are there for anyway. So
yeah, I'm sure some people will be disappointed.
But just take the time and get it right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, just take your time, get it right. That's all.
Yeah, always do that. Every developer, please do that.
Yeah, same goes with Cyberpunk. Another game that I am very excited for.
It's a game that everyone's very excited for, I think.
Just take your time and get it right. I mean, it does have some pretty impossible shoes to fill with Witcher 3, which, for me personally, that is the game of this generation, as in like, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is a 10 out of 10 console seller for me, is The Witcher. So it does have insane shoes to fill, but I still want to play it, and I still think it's going to be a good game. They just need to take the time and get it right, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is with Witcher 3, there wasn't that much hype surrounding it. It was kind of a game that was slowly discovered by people over time, and then people just grew to like it. There wasn't expectation. See, Cyberpunk, no matter how good a game it is, there's always going to be people disappointed because it wasn't exactly what they wanted.
Well, they got Keanu Reeves on stage, didn't they? So.
Yeah, they're building the hype train a bit too much, I'm afraid.
I hope it can live up to it.
Yeah, I hope it can carry off what it's displaying that it might be, and doesn't do a No Man's Sky on us. I don't think it will do.
And get better 3 years later.
Yeah, I don't think it'll do something to the extent of that. I think just if it's a 9 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10, people are gonna think that it's fucking 5 out of 10. To throw all those numbers at you, just because of the amount of hype that people have built up around it.
Yeah.
Death Stranding. Have you seen any of the latest trailers?
I have. I've seen a few of them. It's looks good. I do want to jump in and play. From what I've seen, you seem to be like put it into layman's terms, you seem to be like a delivery guy who's trekking across America.
Have you seen so Kojima released 2 hours of gameplay of him in, well, Japanese, but there's English subtitles.
Yeah.
Playing through a mission on it, essentially,
Oh.
and then showing off one of the bases. Have you seen that?
Is that the one where he's setting up ladders and falling off cliffs?
There's a lot of that in all of the game, I believe, James.
No, you go. Explain.
Well, there's quite a few different interesting ideas. There's a few worries for me in it as well, but it depends on how they handle it. It's a very ambitious game, which Kojima has said is in its own genre now.
Oh, wow.
He has stated, matter of fact, this is actually a new genre. Not an action-adventure game, like most people would define it. It's actually part of the Strand genre, is what he said. It's a totally different type of game.
Okay.
He says the main aspect of Death Stranding is these so-called strands. Strands are just connections between people.
Oh, so it's not tactical espionage action.
No. Apparently not. And as you're going across America, you essentially build up all of these strands, not only with the NPCs throughout the world, but also with all of the other players that are playing the game as well. He said when he was doing this hour's gameplay that it was the most close comparison is Dark Souls.
Oh my
So this
God.
game has defined an entire generation, apparently. But he's saying the most comparable thing with the messages, being able to help each other in worlds and such within Dark Souls and Bloodborne.
Okay.
Most recently. But it's not just leaving each other messages. It goes much, much further beyond that, and I think that's why he's called it its own genre. Because he's saying it's the Strand genre, which Dark Souls kind of kicked off, where you kind of build a world with a load of different players by connecting all of these strands.
Right.
That's what presents its worst challenges, and
It's going to have some element of a multiplayer function in terms of helping people online.
it's a lot more extensive than I thought it was going to be perfectly honest. So, similar to what you can do in Dark Souls, you can leave messages for people. That's one thing. So when you're walking across America, you can leave messages for other players, letting them know, say, rocky terrain ahead or something like that. That is a possibility. You can build things within the world itself. So you can build, like, safety houses. I'm not sure, obviously I don't have any of the details as to what extent it is, but you can build, like, little protective huts that play music and such for when it's raining. And those will appear in other people's games as well.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't just appear in your game.
What's stopping the whole world map from being completely
See,
cluttered?
this is where the main challenge, I believe, comes in. So, the start of the game, apart from the developers and the reviewers, no one's going to have played it, right? So this entire America, this entire map, is going to be completely devoid of anything. So if you're one of the first pioneers going out there and you're playing it quicker and much more than anyone else, you're going to have nothing, in theory, I suppose. But if you're playing it 5 years down the line, when you play it, is it just going to be fucking full of shelters and radio shacks? Is it just going to be a fucking metropolis?
It's hard because unless there's a feature where you can have it on or off, I don't see
I suppose you could turn off the network connection.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Something worth noting is that you don't need a PlayStation Plus subscription to play the multiplayer either. It's one of the only games that does that. Because it's not direct multiplayer.
Yeah.
So if you don't have PlayStation Plus, you can still go into the multiplayer element and interact with all of it. It doesn't restrict you at all.
It's cool. I mean, that kind of ties into kind of like the psychological aspect of the whole game, where it's like, what are you even fighting? Those like invisible demon things. It's very almost sci-fi, really.
It's all about connections. That's why it's called stranding, because you are connecting these strands. So it's kind of their own word that they've come up with called stranding, which also happens to mean being stranded.
Yes, which they'd worked into the trailers as well.
Yes, it all connects back together and in on itself.
He likes to tie things up in a nice little bow, doesn't he?
Yeah. As I say, there are some very, very promising and innovative ideas if they can pull it off.
Oh, yeah.
Other things are paths that people travel down will eventually become paths that multiple players are travelling down. And from paths they'll move to roads, and from roads they'll move to highways. So areas that are well travelled by multiple players will eventually build into kind of motorways, which is, again, interesting. And also presents a major challenge for developers, I assume. But
yeah,
the idea is, when do you stop that? When do you stop the development? How do you limit it from just being over the entire map? Will there be a certain amount of assets, say, that can load? So it's only ever going to hit a cap, and then after that cap, you're just being shown different players' things. You know?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah. It is.
There are massive constructions that you can build as well. So if there's a bridge, say, over a river, you can start building a bridge. And together, multiple players can bring resources to that area. And as that builds up, eventually the bridge ends up built. And the person that contributed the most has their name across it.
Oh, wow.
It's many different connections and interactions that no other game has really done yet.
That's pretty cool.
He is fascinated with likes as well. I don't know if he's a fan of Facebook, but you can like other people's creations when you're in the game itself, and the likes act as kind of XP for that building. So, say you build a hut to shelter players, and you've got like a little, I don't know, fucking seat or something. As it gets more likes, if more people stay there and like it, it eventually upgrades so that it has a radio. And then eventually it upgrades again, so it's made of metal, and it looks all futuristic. And there's a cleaning station that you can wash yourself at.
This sounds insanely ambitious, so...
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to get across here.
We're going to have to see.
There are so many different elements, and if they all work together perfectly, it would be amazing. But if they don't, it's going to be an absolute clusterfuck.
It's like Cyberpunk. He's had a fair while to work on it. But, like I say, you want all of the features to come together to make a good experience at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's something, I think, that's probably even more interesting, is that there's no death in Death Stranding. You can't die. So when you are captured by these little beasties that take you off to this ink-covered world, if you then die there, you go to a realm called Hades, I believe.
Oh my... This is sounding so weird.
I don't know if you remember from the trailers, there were bits of World War, like...
Yeah.
With skeletons and such. Apparently, I think that's where you go when you die to the creatures, and you have to escape there. And once you escape there, you come back to the real world, essentially.
Okay.
But where you were before is completely destroyed. So there's a massive crater. If you remember Kratos from the trailers, that's after he's died and come back. He leaves a crater, and everything that was there is utterly destroyed.
It sounds so interesting, doesn't it? Like
it just sounds different.
It just sounds different. Yeah, you could just get lost in this world, I guess.
Yeah. The maximum multiplayer interaction you can have is you can give players items as well. During the gameplay that Kojima was playing, he was fighting a boss, and he ran out of ammunition, so he called for help, essentially, and loads of different players turned up and started giving him ammunition. Throwing it in different blood.
Kojima requires ammo.
He's like a girl gamer, but 10 times worse. Kojima requires ammo. Just haunts.
Has the significance of bridge babies been shown?
They allow you to see the BTs, is what those creatures are called.
I thought it was so they could see the BTs. I thought that was it.
Yeah. Bridge babies, the BTs are called bridge things, I believe. No, beach things, actually. Which is interesting because they symbolize beaches a lot.
Yeah, they do.
In the trailers.
It's so interesting, and it's slowly, he's a master of this, Kojima, but it's slowly kind of drip fed us bits of hype until we've been able to like piece it all together, and now it's coming out in the next month.
Yeah.
It's
One of
exciting.
one of the things he has said is you will be very confused when you start the game.
Yes,
And you won't understand it until about halfway through.
Wow.
So similar to Phantom Pain.
Well, yeah.
Where it all starts off very slowly and you're very confused, and it doesn't really open up until about halfway through the game.
Yeah.
He says the game will be most fun when you get about halfway.
All right.
But he's also said it's a massive game. So I don't know how long halfway through is going to be. I'm guessing at least 20, 30 hours. But he's essentially saying give the game a chance for it to get more fun before you give up on it. And so that
No, I'm excited to play.
Yeah. Something I don't know if I like or not is that there are difficulty levels in it as well. So players can essentially put it on story mode and just waltz through, or you can put it on really difficult. I don't know if I like that idea though, because it kind of makes your achievements seem a little less significant. So with things like you're trying to build this bridge, right, and whoever gets the most progress on it, their name's on it. Well, surely it's just people that are on the easiest difficulty mode that are going to be able to do that every single time because they have more resources, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. There's a lot of challenges, but I'll definitely be getting that one day one. I'll probably pre-order that soon, actually.
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. I mean, the only other game that's coming out, it's actually out today as well. A lot of games releasing today. Is Medieval Remaster.
Critics are kind of slating that one.
I don't know if that's because it's a PS1 remaster in the case that the game itself is from the PS1 era where everything was a bit clunky and a bit janky, but also awesome.
Well, what I've read of critic reviews, they're essentially saying that it is still very clunky and...
It's clunky, but it looks pretty.
Well, they've said it's not as pretty as the other remasters.
Well, I never expected it to be, but yeah.
I think it was a slightly lower budget than the others.
Yeah.
Which might be what's causing that, but that's not what interests me, to be fair. I did play the original one, so going through it will be a bit nostalgic for me. I'm probably not the person to review it.
I definitely want to play it. I've never
played
the original, so do want to play it.
You never played the original?
No. I obviously, I think I saw a couple of levels, but I never picked it up as a kid.
Yeah. I could never get through it as a kid. It was way too fucking difficult for me.
Yeah, it always struck me as a difficult game.
Yeah, I think it still is as well. I've half a mind to think that the critics just found it too difficult to get through and gave it a 5 out of 10. can't finish it. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 and pretend I got all the way through.
Oh dear. Sir Daniel Fortesque, he deserves better.
He does. He really does.
Oh, bless him. But anyway.
I will get it at some point. It's only 25 quid. As I say, it's not a full game price. So I will get it and go through it.
It's another one I want to pick up as well.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to giving it a shot, for sure.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh,
You're
yes.
saying you don't like that much because it's Souls-like.
No, I mean, apart from the comparisons to Dark Souls, which every game seems to be going for nowadays, the game itself looks pretty interesting. Well, to be fair, we've been beaten over the head with the past few Star Wars games. Battlefronts have been not my cup of tea personally, but EA and I think it's Respawn, the guys who do Titanfall and Apex Legends, they're working on it. So
it's promising. Got a bit of a better publisher in this time, hopefully.
Well, yeah, it's still EA.
Yeah, well.
We'll
have to see.
That to me, that'd be the game that I'm most concerned about because of the publisher. But what I've seen looks promising.
Gameplay looks good. The only thing I didn't like was when the guy said it is easy.
Oh. You hate easy, don't you, Joe?
Well, if it's a Souls-like game,
Well,
why
you've got a point.
make it that difficulty? But he did explicitly state, the person that was playing it at the time, it's not meant to be Souls-like difficulty. It's not meant to be frustrating.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, a story-based game.
That was weird to me. I mean, obviously in Dark Souls you can get help from people online, but I don't think there was any point through Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3 where I found the game frustrating, like at all. It was difficult, and some bits were a bit annoying. You could be like, oh, that's cheap, but you always found a way around it.
I
There was
think
always...
the problem is we originally played Demon Souls ages ago. And
Oh, well.
we played quite a few games, so
We're veterans.
I'm not meaning to brag, but there's no difficulty level in these Souls games. So if you have not played many games and you're going on them, that's when you're going to have the issues.
Yeah, we've seen some Souls combat, haven't we?
Yeah, we've seen some interesting combat. Yeah. I mean, it obviously must on average be a difficult game, otherwise people wouldn't go on about it. But
Yeah.
I think it's mostly when it comes to Dark Souls, trial and error. You're meant to die, and then you learn
It's
how to get
the
past
game.
it.
Yeah. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
But like I say, I never found it frustrating.
I think it'd just be certain boss fights you could find frustrating if you're not able to do them. Say you run out of humanity and you can't summon anything.
Well, yeah, I
Then
guess.
it might get difficult. Kind of like real life when you run out of humanity and you just can't be bothered with any social interaction, and life gets a lot harder.
Oh man.
Oh no, not again. Anyway, where were we?
Humanity again.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
What have we been playing? We'll move on to that section. Bit brief, this one,
Yeah.
so we can do another full podcast on this.
Oh yeah.
And go through properly what we've been playing, since it's been so long since we did the last one, so there's a lot to catch up on. The ones I've been playing most recently, though, I've been playing Final Fantasy 12 The Zodiac Age. It's a new remake of Final Fantasy 12, which one of the lesser known Final Fantasies. I didn't play it at the time, but it's been really enjoyable to go through that one. Actually, I'll go into it a bit more in a bit, but yeah. XCOM 2, I've almost got to the end of. I kind of got a bit bored of it, honestly, because it gets a bit samey.
Yeah.
Partway through, it's a long game, and there's a lot of waiting because it's turn based essentially.
Yeah. I've seen a bit of gameplay.
Partially turn based, and I've got to the point where I can't be bothered to wait through all of the animations. I shoot an alien and I kind of like, it's just dead. I know it's dead. Like,
before. Yeah.
let me skip it, and you can't skip any of these animations.
Yeah,
so when someone jumps over a ledge, it'll play a cutscene, and it'll be like, oh, he's jumping over the ledge, and it's epic. And I'm like, I've seen this 200 times now.
Yeah.
I'm done. Just let me kill the alien. Like,
Let me skip.
yeah. So I'm having trouble finishing that one, but I will get there, and it has been an
Yeah.
enjoyable game up until this frustrated, boring point. I've been playing some of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, a very old game,
Ooh.
but I'll be going through that one. Definitely put up a good review of that as well. I don't know how far I am through it, maybe a third of the way, but it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
All right.
Has aged very well, relatively. I've been playing the original Ocarina of Time, and the controls are just awful. Now, the controls in Twilight Princess aren't as bad, but that's my main...
That's quite controversial, Joe. You're going to offend people saying that you prefer Twilight Princess to Ocarina of Time.
I do. It's just it's a more modern game. The story's better. Every time you die in Ocarina of Time, you go back to the start. Not the start of the
Controversial
game.
gaming opinion of the week right here.
Most annoying thing about Ocarina of Time is whenever you quit the game, you save it, right? You save your progress. You're saying, oh, I'm good. You turn off the console, come back tomorrow, start up some Ocarina of Time. Say you're halfway through like the fucking volcano dungeon. You're like, alright, what was I doing next? It starts you back right at the start.
Oh, man.
Right at the start of the dungeon. And if you're anywhere else in the world,
Now,
it starts you back at your house.
That is frustrating.
It is. When you're halfway across the world map, completely at the opposite end, say you're in fucking Gerudo Fortress or whatever, and you're waiting, you've got something to do, and you turn it off, and you turn it back on, and you're way back at the other side of the map. It's painful. My soul just dies a little bit inside every time, James.
No.
The other one I've been watching my girlfriend play is Pikmin 3, which is a game I didn't even know existed.
Is that like a cute cartoony game?
Yeah, it's a very cartoony game where you essentially hunt down pieces of fruit.
Oh.
It's deliciously relaxing. I quite like it actually. It's you control a little army of kind of seedy flower people that can all do different things. You've got like little rock boys that you can throw to break things, or ones that fly and can fly over obstacles and things. Sadly, it's only on the Wii U, which is a completely dead console, I believe. But we're playing it through on that. So I'll be putting up a kind of watching review. I don't know how you'd define it. Watched all the game but not played it.
Yeah.
Standards review. I don't know. I'll come up with a name for it and put that up.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What about you, mate? What have you been playing recently?
A couple of weeks back now, I played Detroit. That was free on PlayStation Plus one of the months.
I went through that as well. Only for the first few missions, but yeah.
Yeah, I played it to completion. It's just, usually I shy away from David Cage games. They're not really my thing.
Yeah.
Obviously he's done like Heavy Rain and what was the other one? He's done Heavy Rain and the one with Ellen Page anyway.
Beyond Two Souls. Yeah.
Oh, that's the one, Beyond Two Souls. But no, I think having not played those games, I think that Detroit on its own is a good game. You should give it a try, especially if you downloaded it free and you haven't yet played it. Definitely give it a spin. It is good. The story's interesting, and I mean, it's one of those games where you can take it any way you want to, really. With the choices that you make in the game, I think you can get all of the characters killed in the playthrough, or you can save them all. It's up to you.
Yeah. I got up to the... Oh, actually, I was about to spoil it. I won't spoil it. I played some of it, and my characters have died multiple times. So.
Yeah. I mean, the only other game that I've played, really, which is similar in terms of like choices, is Until Dawn, which is another good game. But yeah, no, check it out. It's a decent experience in my opinion. Connor is the best character, so fight me if you think otherwise. Connor is the best.
It's a bit of an ethical dilemma, is that game, to be fair.
Well,
it's essentially about androids which are treated as slaves.
Yeah, it is. It's like, what side of the fence do you sit on? And throughout the game, if you're of one opinion, you could find yourself swaying to the other side, based on the game's events. It is quite a good game, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, more recently, I've been playing 2 games which I said I would pick up at some point. A few podcasts back, I mentioned that I was playing a game called Dangan Ronpa.
Not much about that one. What's it like?
The premise. It's basically it's like a graphic novel type game with anime characters, and basically these school kids are put into a situation where they have to kill themselves. Well, not kill themselves. They have to kill.
What?
They have to kill their classmates in order to escape, basically.
They have to kill themselves.
Well, no spoilers, but yeah, they're basically held hostage by an evil talking teddy bear called Monokuma, and they have to basically kill their classmates in order to escape, or so he says, and he basically like amps up the pressure as the game progresses, and there's loads of twists and turns. It's like a Cluedo type game. You do quite a bit of exploring, like finding clues, evidence, that kind of thing, and then you go into like a class trial where you've got to accuse the murderer of committing the crime.
With the evidence that you've got.
Yeah, with the evidence, and I mean, it is a really good game. Both of them, 1 and 2, they're good games. I mean, the first one, it's all about like how this starts, how this killing game, as it's called, starts at Hope's Peak Academy, and then the second one, it's all like, it's a school trip, so you go to a tropical island, and then this killing game happens on the island. so it's a different setting. But no, they are really good games. Definitely pick them up. I got them on sale again, so that's why I managed to power through both games. I think they were on sale for about £12 on the store, so
Not bad.
definitely one to pick up if you're into that genre. And I mean, I never thought I would be, but
I'm not. Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like my cup of tea, but if you
it's all story. It's all story. I mean, there's a lot of reading and not much actual action in the game.
Ooh. Well,
But if you're into stories, oh, definitely. Like I think they're fantastic games.
I was gonna say I'm probably not into much reading and not much action, but I have read like 3 books, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I will like it. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
If it goes on sale again, I might pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 games have got a good story. I would say play them in order. I obviously did it 3, 1, and then 2, so I did it in completely the wrong order.
Madman. All right, so is the order important?
Yes and no. I mean, it didn't hurt my experience going backwards. But if you want to literally follow the series of events as they happen, 1, 2, 3 is the best way to do it, obviously. But yeah, no, they're all on PlayStation. I'm not sure about Xbox, but yeah, pick them up. Good game.
Sounds good. I will do again if it's on sale.
Yeah. I mean, the only other game that I've been playing recently is what I've currently got in my hands.
What is
It's
on your hands, James? Tell us. We need to know.
Call of Duty.
Tell us now. Oh no. Why did I ask?
So, so yeah, the alpha and the beta have been and gone, and now it's release day, and I've got the night vision goggle variant, as you may have seen on Twitter. My handsome face wearing the goggles.
I do love a bit of sarcasm.
But yeah,
they look hefty. They look hefty, those goggles.
Well, we'll see. I need to have a play with them, but yeah, no, Modern Warfare's out. It's like a return to the roots kind of thing after they've done the whole futuristic endeavour.
Yeah, both good and bad, I think, those games.
So there was. But yeah, I think this is like a return to the roots for Infinity Ward. And yeah, well, I'm eager to play, and like I say, I'll stream the game if I can. And that's
if you've got it now, so you'll be playing that tonight, essentially.
Yeah. So I mean, like I say, I'll stream it so people can check it out, see if they want to hop online with me.
I'd be interested to watch them, mate, if you can get that up, for sure.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Good.
And that's about it.
Is that all that we have? It is a shorter rollcast, perhaps. I think this one has been fairly long, actually. But yeah, we were going through over a lot of stuff since it had been so long since the last one. Anyway,
yeah,
we hope you've enjoyed the first episode of Season 2. I hope you enjoy us presenting it as well.
Yes.
Alone for now, though we may get guests in the future. Maybe Scott will come back at some point and tell us about his adventures in the realms of Microsoft.
I hope so. It's exciting.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, James, see if we can get him on as an inside guest. Give us a scoop on Microsoft exclusives, perhaps.
Oh, well, we'll have to see. Anyway, that's for all the good gaming stuff. Go to TryRolling.com, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, we'll do another podcast soon on a more in detailed review of what we've been playing. I think you can tell us how your Modern Warfare
experience is going. Yeah.
I think it's important to note that if you want to write for us, as we've said earlier in the podcast, just send an email over to editors@tryrolling.com along with a writing sample, and we'll see if we can get you set up. Yeah. Especially if you're as passionate as we are about video games.
Very
and we will be setting up that Patreon soon. Hopefully I'll get that done today, and I'll put a link to it when it's done on the website and in all our future videos.
Awesome.
Hopefully we can start hitting some of those goals.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. All right, James. Is it time to sign off? I think it's time to sign off.
I think it is, yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Rollcast, and we hope you have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are.